So welcome back to this beginner's tutorial guide on choosing the right paints. Now I'm going to go through the way to look at this. This is a St. Petersburg White Knight set that comes with this handy mixing tray, and it also covers up the paints and protects them. I'm not going to focus on palettes today, we're just going to look at the paints. Now they come in these pans. Pans look like this. So they're basically plastic, and this is what they call a whole pan. So it's just the size, and a half pan is obviously half that size. Now these White Knight paints come, as I said, as they are. The paint already inside. Now the advantages and disadvantages of pans. A pan is already set inside the paint. The paint can and will go dry. Let me show you an example. Here's a set that I haven't used very much, and you can see, that is hard. It's rock solid. Okay, you don't want that. You're going to wreck your brushes. If you're going to start to try and get a nice sable brush like this, you'll be there forever trying to get the right quantity to paint off, especially if you're going to paint quite large paintings. There are little tips to enliven and freshen these, but really, unless the paint is quite moist, as these White Knight paints are, you can see they do stay moist, and when you touch them, look, they really do respond instantly. Yep, here I could be mixing around for quite a long time to get the same quantity of paint, and they're hard. If you want to get a big mixture, you're not going to get it, whereas here you will get a big mixture quite quickly because the paint is quite soft. Pans, I wouldn't recommend them. I know I use them, and I only use the White Knights because they give me the vibrancy and colour that I need, and they're kind of in the whole pans. But I wouldn't really be worrying too much about these. I find they're not really that economical. You might think, oh, they're small, great. Actually, you're going to get much better value from tubes. Tubes of paint are going to work much better. You can get them in 21 mil or 0.7 US ounces. Smaller 14 mils. You can go right the way down to 8 mil. Some tiny paints, even 5 mil I've seen them, which is quite not much paint really. So I tend to try and buy the bigger, because you get more from the bigger size, the 21s. Okay, so the 21 mils on there, bigger. These Cotman paints are great. I've been painting now for over 40 years, and I haven't had one single painting fade with any Cotman watercolours. They're light fast. So let's just move this away. So we've had a quick look at pans. Pans are fine, but for outdoor painting and trying to paint with speed, they're really not up to the job unless you get the White Knights. Now then, there are all kinds of paints on the market from all kinds of different manufacturers. I've experimented with lots of them. So let's have a look at some of these that we've got. I'll get them up in a second. I'm not worried about the colours, we're just looking at the differences in the paints at the moment. We have SAA paints. It's here. It's a society for artists, all artists generally, very good. De La Rowney, quite well known, also very good. Let's go on to the Cotman. Yep, also very good. They have a professional artist range as well, that are great. And then there are all kinds of other manufacturers. Dipping down because I have so many paints. We get people like, let's have a look, that one's stuck on there. These Essential Watercolours, really cheap. It's from Royal and Langnickel, and I have used their brushes before as well, and I find their camel hair mops really good. But these Royal Langnickel paints, you see these a lot. They're not too bad. It depends what you want. They're not the finest quality, but they're okay. So again, you're starting to get the message. There's a W.H. Smith, which in England is a chain of newsagents, and even they sell them. So you'll find paints everywhere. Recommendations, because that's probably why you're here. Always get the best quality. So if you go back to my other video, which talked about just choosing 4 paints, get the best. These are great, the Cotmans, but if you can afford the more expensive ones, the professional ones, get them. Okay, so that would always be my advice. Get good quality paints, but not many. Get them in the bigger tubes, because it's going to be more economical in the 21-ounce tubes. What else have we got to say about paints? Well, the main thing is to choose the right colours. Here, this is one of my palettes that I'm using at the moment, so it just gives me a little reminder of them. I've said before in a video about which colours to choose. If you're just going to choose 7 to work with all of the time, across the top here, I would go a burnt sienna, a alizarin crimson or something similar, a crimson, ultramarine blue, it's there, cobalt blue, that's 4, yellow ochre, that's 5, burnt umber, that's 6, and neutral tint. Okay, they were the ones that I would go with. I mean, yellow ochre, raw sienna, very similar. It depends the manufacturing of the paint. Now, in terms of paints, I know there are things like Daniel Smith's that are fantastic paints. Schminke, also great, and the list goes on and on and on. What you have to do is find which ones work for you and stick with them. Okay, that's all I need to say on paints. I'm trying to keep these videos quite short. So I've given you my recommendations, given you an idea of the types of paint that there are out there. There are absolutely tons and tons of different types of paint. You've got the difference between these hard pans and the soft paint that's going to come out of the tube and be ready to paint straight away without the lack of mixing. Let me just show you this coming out. There's a difference if you've never seen this before. There you go. So that yellow ochre in there now will be really ready to paint away and go. Let's just show you. And there it is. You can see how easy it is. And of course, that will dry off. Paints always do, and they do go hard over time. Now, the final little tip is how to freshen them up. If you get a, let me just find it. I do use this now and again, this method. Some boiling hot water, and you pop it in a cup, and you get a hog hair brush, which looks like this. Hog hair brush is basically with bristles used for painting oils, and you dip it in to the hot water like this, and then you mix up here, you mix around. You can see already we're starting to get the paint back to life. That is a good little tip for bringing paint back to life. So hot water, the hog hair brush, because it's stiff, it saves your precious watercolor brushes that are always very soft. This hog hair brush, really cheap. You can get these for next to nothing, and they're going to save your brushes. Yep, so use hog hair to reinvigorate hard pans. You don't want to be doing this with soft paint because you'll just waste all your paint out of the tube, but for hard, that's what you need to do. Okay, well, thanks for watching my video. Yes, again, this is our beginners guides and lessons and tutorials. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.